What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another Showdown breakdown. We're talking Thursday night football. Packers at the Lions. 51.5-point total on this one, Bobbywow. It is another exciting, primetime game.
Interdivisional. It's going to be a good one. Lions-Packers always fun.
Yeah. Indoors, no weather conditions. I'll take it. Give me some indoor. December in the dome. I mean, we saw that we had the snow game. It was kind of fun.
It was fun. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, fun game. But give me some indoor weather conditions where we don't have to worry about all that stuff. That certainly was Bobby all the way up there. I don't know why this is set up that way. I don't know how to change it. But it's been a while since we had a an indoor game, a nice high scoring showdown to target.
Yeah.
Studs everywhere. Too many studs. It's almost too many.
Some might say.
How do you choose? A couple of injury notes. Romeo Doubs is out, official. He was out last week. So we kind of saw what happened. Last week with Doubs out, we saw Dontavian Wicks. Did you say 90% snap count?
Dontavian Wicks, all the way up to 90% snap count. Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, there it is. Watson played 100% of the snaps, basically. Wicks 90. And ironically, Reed, who everybody considers the best of the wide receivers, he's still hanging out in the 60 to 70% snap count. So he is still, off the field on running plays most of the time.
Yeah.
Flip side of this game, the only real out is the Wiz Khalif Raymond. And last week in his place, I guess we had a little bit of Tim Patrick, right?
Yeah.
And even Allen Robinson, A-Rob got in the game.
Got a couple snaps. Yes, he did.
That's bananas. A-Rob getting in there. It's a blast from the past. It's like the pre-COVID era.
That's one way to put it.
Where's he been?
He's been everywhere, man. He lived and died on the Bears, and then since then he's been kind of MIA.
Yeah, that's what happens, man. The career goes, and then it's gone. Bobbywow, that's how it happens.
That's how it happens.
It's one day you're there, awesome. The next day you're gone. All right, let's take a look at DraftKings. Let's get right into it. So we got a fun showdown. We got to figure out our captains, who we're going to attack in this one. High scoring game. So the general 51.5-point total, close spread. Anything goes in a spot like this.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen these offenses explode before. Two high-powered offenses. They can get it done on the ground and through the air. The Lions have been more efficient, right? Packers kind of been a little bit all over the place where we've seen some big games out of Love, but lately it's been more the Josh Jacobs show. So it'll be interesting to see how things shake out here.
Definitely. And all things are go, but you do have a Lions team that's very, very good against the run. And so you generally want to be throwing against them, which sets up nicely for us to get an idea of where the football is going to go. So when I sort the domination station optimizer by projected ownership for the captain position, we get Amon-Ra as your clear-cut chalk. Behind him, pretty much all of Jordan Love, Jahmyr Gibbs, Josh Jacobs, and Jayden Reed all have the same 10% projection. So, the field is kind of like, I don't know. These guys all seem pretty good. Interestingly, their actual numeric projection is also just about the same. Like it's kind of funny. They all project about the same. I don't know why Jordan Love would be owned higher than Jared Goff.
No, this isn't FanDuel. Is it FanDuel?
No, this is DraftKings.
Okay.
Yeah, this is DraftKings. And they don't know. I guess the field doesn't know how to play, so they just want to play quarterbacks here. Neither of these quarterbacks are the style of quarterbacks that I like to use as captain. More often than not, I just like to fade these types of quarterbacks and let whatever wide receiver they're throwing it to rise to the top, so to speak. I think there's edge on the screen here. I think
that's interesting.
Yeah, fadeable edge all over the place. I mean, I've got negatives for everybody. Jaden Reed, when was the last time he got more than 3 targets in a game? Literally, when was the last time? Because it's been a while.
It's been some time.
I'll pull up his thing in a second, but like he doesn't get targets. Josh Jacobs, brutal matchup against the Lions run defense.
I think that's going to be the interesting thing here is where are the targets going to go? Because it has been Josh Jacobs. They haven't needed to throw the ball. I think, everyone had 4 or 5 targets. Jaden Reed had 6 targets last week, I think, with Christian Watson having 4. Dontavian Wicks had 5. Josh Jacobs had 4 targets, and Tucker Kraft was the lead getter with 7 targets. So, like, this offense has been passing offense has been very, very spread out. I think that probably changes a little bit. Like you mentioned, Lions really good against the run. They're going to have to switch it up against Detroit tomorrow.
I'm so ready for this. By the way, the Packers, the way they've been running the team this year with the 4 or 5 targets, 5 different guys all the time, it's kind of annoying.
Yeah,
I'm keeping it real. It's annoying. It's hard for fantasy purposes to figure out where the ball is going. But they do have some exciting players. So again, Gibbs, he's got a flaw too. His flaw is he rarely sees more than, he just doesn't have volume because Montgomery's there. So it's usually 15 and 15 or some very close split. Now, he scores well. That, it's not enough to take it away that he has a bad score, but what ends up happening is he rarely gets you the 30 plus. He had that one game where he put up a bunch of touchdowns because of variance, but more often than not, he's kind of hanging around that 17 to 20. I'm not sure that's enough to get it done at that price at captain.
Yeah.
So all these guys have interesting flaws. And then you could scroll down a little bit and you get some high upside names. Christian Watson at low ownership, Sam Laporta maybe at low owner. Even could you go for Tucker Kraft as a captain play?
Yeah, why not? I mean, and we just talk about Wicks. We've seen Wicks get it done before on slates like this where he'll score 2 touchdowns. He's even cheaper than Kraft.
I'm trying to find where Wicks is in the ownership projection, and I can't even find him. He's so
right
low.
below Kraft.
Oh, he is? Okay. Oh, there he is. Yeah, 3%. So, yeah, why not? Any one of those guys can pop for 20 plus.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I agree. Dixon Carter in the chat is saying Watson captain. Yeah, I agree. I like that one. I'll have a lot of that. Even Jamo Williams.
Jamo's always in play. Amon-Ra hasn't been the Amon-Ra we're used to the last couple of weeks, partially because
they haven't needed
have a good secondary.
This is a need him game.
But this could be a need him game. This could be a game where we finally see him come back up, which the ownership would indicate that. Yeah,
and Amon-Ra is the clear-cut top play. I mean, I get why he's up there. There's only one player on this entire slate that is regularly putting up 30 plus throughout his career, and that is Amon-Ra. So he absolutely belongs where he is up there. Is there anybody on the Packers that can slow down Amon-Ra?
I mean, they've got some good secondary. They've got Jair Alexander, right? They've got McKinney. I think McKinney's healthy, so they've got some talented pieces. But again, ASB, the Lions are going to line him up where they want him to, and they're going to move him around quite a bit. We saw them trying to get him more involved away from Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon last week, or when the Bears played the Lions, which I think was last week. I'm trying to block it out of my head. And it didn't work because the Bears have 2 studs. I don't know. They will be able to get ASB some space here. So I'm not concerned about a super shutdown necessarily.
Speaking of the Bears, how do you not call a timeout there?
We're on next week.
How do you not call timeout?
How do you not do anything? I mean, you could have done anything, really. You called a timeout, spiked the ball, thrown a pass.
My kid was sitting next to me. She doesn't even watch football. She's like, Dad, shouldn't they call a timeout here? I'm like, how do you even know what's going on in the game? Have you watched? She didn't even watch the game. Why did she know
told
this?
You, it ruined my Thanksgiving. I haven't slept. It's horrible.
That's horrible.
The Bears are 4 plays away from being 7-5. It's the most ridiculous, like 4 legitimate plays. Crazy.
At least you're not the Jets.
Should have beat Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. It's like, oh my God, all those dumb plays.
Imagine you were Washington. Imagine you were a fan of the Browns and they paid $270 million to Deshaun Watson and gave up a bunch of first-round picks.
The Browns they're mired in not even mediocrity. It's just horrible at this point. But hey,
every time I'm horrified to be a Jets fan, I think of the Browns.
Gotcha.
I'm like, it can get worse. They only have Jameis for the next few weeks, and then they got to pay him. He's not free. They didn't sign him
to deliver him from the pick sixes, man. Come on, he's not going to be expensive.
All right. So Amon-Ra in the previous matchup with these two teams, Amon-Ra went 7 for 7. So like he didn't have a hard time catching balls that were thrown his way the last time these two teams met. I just wanted to check that.
I think one thing while you're kind of getting back here, just on the Amon-Ra subject, you talked about having a lot of studs on this slate. That's where Amon-Ra captain gets interesting for me, because Amon-Ra is far and away I think he's far and away the highest priced guy. So what happens if you put somebody like a Kraft or a Wicks or even a Laporta, Watson, like that frees up another whole stud relative to putting Amon-Ra at the captain spot. So that's another spot we got to try and get a little bit interesting here as we build the lineups.
The leverage here has to be taking shots with the Packers wide receivers. We know the Lions side, they can attack this game a lot of different ways. Like there is a definite version of this game where Amon-Ra doesn't put up 30, right? Or even 20. He probably, it's probably not a version of the game that plays out or too many where he doesn't put up like 12, 14. That's usually a bottom score for someone like Amon-Ra. But, if we look at his last few games, even just in general, and this is a reminder, you got to remind your brain every once in a while that as much as Amon-Ra is awesome, in 4 of his last 5 games, he did not breach 20 fantasy points, and he did not even breach 15 in 2 of them. So this is the thing that your lineup construction, you need to understand this. We need to understand. I don't care about what you do. I care about me. All right. I need to understand. As great as a play, Amon-Ra, I got to play Amon-Ra. He's so good. He's so good. Sometimes he gets you at 12. And then you don't win the monies.
Right.
Yeah, I get it. He's a great player. People are like, Geek always talking down people. No one shit on me when I talk down fucking Christian McCaffrey and gets hurt. That wasn't why I talked him down. But yes, the obvious captain play is the one that you always have to think of reasons why they might not be successful.
And to add to that, even a 25 or 30 doesn't guarantee you get there with Amon-Ra this week because of the pricing. So he's got to go nuclear big time.
Yeah. And not to mention, there's a lot of
narrower path.
Yeah, it's a high scoring game. So there's a lot of other players that are likely to put up 15s and 18s and get pretty good scores along the way. So just saying, hashtag, do what you got to do. But, Amon-Ra has only kind of had a good game 1 out of the last 5. Is he due for another one? Yes, probably. What does that mean? Doesn't mean nothing. All right. So continuing on here. So yeah, other potential captains. I think Josh Jacobs, fine, but I don't love it. Expensive, tough matchup. He's been spectacular. Look how great he's been.
It partly has to do too with those wide receiving numbers. Look at that: 4 catches, 4 targets. The week before, he didn't have to do. He was on the ground the whole game. Didn't matter, blowout. But against the Bears, 4 catches, 5 targets. I mean, that makes a difference. That gets you from 17, 18 points to 23 points, 24 points.
I mean, I think something that so I'm trying to make the bet. I'm trying to figure out what I think of his box score against the Lions in the previous game.
Look back on week 9, right?
So he had 13 carries for 95 yards, a couple targets, whatever, right? On the one hand, I'm thinking 95 yards on 13 carries, man, this guy, he had a big run in there and that kind of made up for it. But, he had room to run. On the other hand, I'm thinking, why'd they only run him 13 times? Were they aware defensively that the Lions have a strong defense? And did they game plan, hey, let's not focus heavy on the run for this week? I don't know. Hard to know. But, I'm not sure which came first, the good defense versus the run, or the fact they don't want to run against the good defense, or that's just how the game went.
Yeah, the backup scored a touchdown, backup running back in this game, Wilson, I believe. So, yeah, I think it was just a matter of who was on the field. And, yeah, they did have to employ more of a pass-catching running back based on the game style.
Yeah, could have been, and of course, being that the Packers lost that game and were behind in that game, maybe that was more to do with it. So who knows? But what you could see here is like, yeah, Lions are good versus the run, but they're not that good. All right. It doesn't mean we can't play running backs against them.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, but not that good.
Outside of Kenneth Walker, maybe earlier this season when he scored 3 touchdowns, against, I'm talking about the Lions, no running back has put up optimal fantasy numbers to be a captain. Like they've in terms of shutting down big scores, they've done it all season.
Let's look at these. I'm going to look at these guys in the main tab so I can actually mentally understand. When I look under captain, you have to mentally adjust what their salary is. So better look here, right? So as we move down the list, we got our quarterbacks, Love and Goff, both fine.
Yeah.
Neither great.
Goff guys will spread it around. I mean, you look at last week, right? With Goff, it's been crazy. He threw 2 touchdown passes. Both were to Sam Laporta. And Sam Laporta had 3 catches for 6 yards. I don't even know if Sam gets the optimal with that score.
Oh, man.
It's crazy, man.
Laporta never puts up a big score. This could be the week. At some point that week.
It always could be.
Yeah, but he really doesn't put up a big score. Yeah, and Goff, I mean, much like Amon-Ra, like his returns look like Amon-Ra's. Look at this. Crap, big game. Amon-Ra,
which is important to know, right? He kind of goes as Amon-Ra goes. If Goff is scoring well, Amon-Ra is typically scoring well too.
Yeah,
and vice versa.
So I just think it's noteworthy. Jamal Williams, you know what he is. We know what he does. He plays a style that can certainly win us a tournament. It could certainly win you the game at captain, but he's going to have to do it on 6 or 7 targets, a couple of big plays.
Does he feel less boomer busty this season? He's got almost more consistent where he's catching 4 or 5 passes and he's not necessarily going deep. Whereas Tim Patrick seemed like the guy going deep last week.
I don't know about it's going deep, but he is less boomer bust because he has gone from the 3rd wide receiver to the 2nd. And, so they now trust him to be the 2nd guy on the field. He was not that last year. It was Josh Reynolds. And you remember Josh Reynolds will have good games here and there. So
yeah.
It's just a new role for him. And yeah, Tim Patrick is not a deep ball guy. He's definitely not that. He's an
bigger play though. Patrick had some big plays against the Bears last week, but
he can make a big play. But I mean, his skill set is very much like a possession Anquan Bolden type of wide receiver skill set. He's out there catching everything. Like he's just glue hands. I don't know that he has special speed per se, but whatever.
Not speedy. Yeah, no, not as speedy as.
It's just the role they're putting him into. Like, they have him out there. That's what they do on this team because Amon-Ra is such a route runner that you don't need that. You're like, hey, clear out the field.
Tim Patrick just turned 31, by the way. Okay, he's not that old.
In football years, he might as well be living in the villages in Florida with the pineapple turned upside down on his golf cart, driving around.
Oh my God!
I mean, for football, that's retirement community age.
That's funny, man.
All right,
that's pretty dang funny.
Yeah, there's none of that. 31 years old in the NFL, they call him grandpa in the locker room. Christian Watson is just somebody who stands out for me, Bobbywow.
He has for me too the last several weeks, and it feels like he's been so close.
John's one of those guys, John Marchese, who drives around in the villages with the different color loofahs on the golf cart, indicating what kind of
geek that place looks great.
Those oldies, they display their kink on their golf carts in the villages.
Oh, geez.
You don't have any idea what goes on there. It's a debauchery over there. You should never go to a place like the villages. It's not for someone like you. You're a good person.
There's a lot of good people that live in the villages. Come on.
Debauchery over there. It's over 70 debauchery. You don't want to go anywhere near somebody who's got a pink and a purple loofah on there.
You only live once.
All right. Sorry. Christian Watson. Love C. Watts. 100% snap count last week. Didn't affect his targets. He still barely throws them. We have to ignore these target numbers because of the fact that they can't lean heavy on the run. You got to throw it this game.
Look at that. 7 targets against the Lions when they played a couple weeks ago.
I like that.
That's interesting.
Only caught a couple of them, but you like that. Listen, Christian Watson's got the skill set that produces big points. We all remember what he did in his first season. Just touchdown machine for the Packers. It hasn't been, obviously last year, but by the way, just side note, like Christian Watson, a full healthy season so far. kudos to whatever that doctor was that figured out that he had too much strength in his left hammy or his right hammy or whatever the hell he had going on.
Not only that, but like it's obvious. Not only the snap counts and kind of how involved he's been, but he looks as good as I've ever seen him look on the field. Like right now, the last 2 weeks, he's looked really explosive. So
yeah, kudos to his health. I mean, it's just impressive. And this, Dixon Sider probably has the name right or something close to it.
Draft, man, cheap.
Tucker Kraft 5,400, fine.
He's just getting tons of targets, man. Well, look at that. I guess the last couple weeks, not so much.
It's up and down. It's been like this his whole career. But if you scroll down, you'll see the monster games. 24, 18. This was check that salary. That was below min. How did they actually created a new 2,400 salary for this guy? Or that must have been a showdown only. Where does this 2,400 come from?
That's crazy.
But yeah, it's all over the place. 17 smash, 14 smash. He needs the touchdown more often than not. Although last week he didn't even get the touchdown he got there. So I definitely like him. I think with Dubs out, it just increases the chances of him getting more targets.
How do you not go to Wicks though? Like to me, Kraft is he's more of a cashy play, in my opinion. He's got that high floor. But Dontavian Wicks at 4,200. I mean, look, he's done not a whole lot this season, but he hasn't been on the field a ton either. He's finally now taking on. It's WR3. He's
turd priced almost. And this is a solid guy who is just as likely. All right, let me put it like this. If we had to put odds on which pass catcher on the Packers would have the most targets in this game, are we not within 5 to 10% of each other for all 3 or 4 of these guys?
Probably. Yeah.
Like who's your odds-on favorite to get the most targets?
It's probably Jaden Reed, but Dontavian Wicks, isn't too far behind, along with Christian Watson.
I mean, if you're giving me plus money on any of them, I think I'm taking it. You know what I'm saying? Like Reed versus Wicks. You want to give me plus 120 for Wicks? I'm taking it. Like I think it's very close.
Look at the touchdowns, though. This guy looks like he scored 4 touchdowns on the season. He's played in 8 games.
I feel like most of those
played only a couple snaps in most games.
I feel like most of those
3 of them came in one. Oh, look, there you go. 2 and 1.
2 and 1. Yeah, I knew it was all in one
game.
But
I mean, my point is that he hasn't been starting all season either. So look at Reed's touchdown numbers or Watson's. They're not awesome.
And now he's starting. These guys, it's almost good and bad. In the good side, they're all cheap because they haven't been getting targets. No one's putting up a lot of scores, so no one feels confident in any individual pass catcher from the Packers. But on the flip side, they're in a dome. They're in a 51-point total, and these guys need to be involved if this team is going to even have any sniff of hope of making a game of this. So I like it. I think it's a good situation for us, Bobbywow, to go overweight on these pass catchers, go uncomfortably overweight on them.
Yeah, agreed. And by the way, Dontavian Wicks is 7,500 on FanDuel.
That is quite a good price too.
That's pretty cheap.
I mean, that's how you win on FanDuel also, right? It's not, we've been putting in these sort of cash lineups with double kickers, but you want to win on FanDuel, you got to pick that turd and be right about it. Moving down the list. Tim Patrick got a few snaps. He's playing that WR3 role for the Lions. Production hasn't been anything special, but at 3,400, I think, it's fine. Any turds here, Bobbywow, that we should be paying attention to?
I think Chris Brooks is probably the guy that stands out to me. We talked about A-Rob a little bit. He'll be on the field for a couple snaps, but Chris Brooks has been somebody. Look, the scores haven't been great at all. But we talked about what happened last time the Packers played the Lions, right? They had to move away from Josh Jacobs and lean more on these pass-catching running backs. Chris Brooks, and I wish we had Madness. Is Madness the Packer guru? I can't remember. I think he is. Chris Brooks seems to be taking over that RB2 role over Emmanuel Wilson, which would be a big deal in a game like this one because he's a guy that can catch passes out of the backfield, and at 2,400, doesn't take much for him to get there. So
yeah, it's funny because Emmanuel Wilson has had some good games this year too.
He has.
Why?
And again, Emmanuel Wilson was the backup. He has been for the majority of the season, but Brooks has been out snapping him for the last 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. I think he's considered the second guy in the depth chart.
Brooks, maybe he can catch a pass. He got 2 targets last week, which is unusual kind of for the backup. Didn't do anything with them, but he caught them. Got more carries than.
Look at against Green Bay. I mean, he that's about when he started working in over at Wilson. He had 4 targets. Like that's
against Detroit.
Can't ignore that.
Yeah, you know what?
Or Detroit. I mean, sorry. Yep.
Yeah, Chris Brooks, 2,400. Okay, little turd identified. Turd identification successful.
Turd Brooks.
I'm gonna take a look here and see if there's anybody below the Turd Brooks line that I even want to mess with. I mean, obviously, I would think Emmanuel Wilson, if you wanted to go the other side of that, fine. But did Bo Melton get any? Bo Melton didn't get in the game. Was Bo Melton healthy last week?
Bo Melton and Malik Heath both played. Bo Melton was on the field for like 9 or 10 snaps. But his snap count actually went down. It got cut in half with Dobbs out because it looked like Wicks and Watson soaked up every one of those snaps. They went more with the traditional 3 wide receivers playing that game.
Kind of like that, actually. I prefer it. Malik Heath.
Brock Wright would be the other turd for me to take a peek at. Again, a guy that does not a whole lot most weeks, but he is on the field about half the snaps, and he'll catch a touchdown every now and then. So, man, he's $3K though.
It's not cheap. He can catch a touchdown at $3K. You're not even winning.
He'll need more than that.
Yeah.
I like Brooks. Brooks is my favorite.
Yeah, it's Brooks. Brooks is the guy. Okay. Well, there Brooks, it is.
Maybe a dart at A-Rob and a dart at Melton.
Can we not take a dart at A-Rob?
We definitely don't have to. No.
Yeah, I think I'm going to pass
but
on
I'm just to throw it out.
Yeah, I could see some dart throws on those other guys, but maybe not A-Rob.
Probably the safest guy below the kickers in terms of, getting some points on the board. I like Chris Brooks, though, as my favorite turd on the slate.
I like it. All right, let's put a DraftKings lineup together for this thing. Well, kind of like a multiplier style lineup, I guess. I really want to start with Watson. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, and I probably am going to put Jordan Love in there then.
Jolo?
As well. Yeah.
The old Jolo going.
Watson's getting it done with touchdowns, most likely.
Yeah. All right, so Watson, Jolo. Can even go Wicks as well to kind of get that whole crew together. So in this case, where's Reed? Reed is 7,600. Wicks is 42. So one of those two.
I mean, put ASB in there as well. I'll just see what happens here.
Yeah, you could afford anything.
And then you go Laporta, and then you can pick anybody you want.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of afford whatever you want. Well, I really wanted to use Chris Brooks because he's our turd of the slate, but you don't even need him.
Well, you got Wicks in there, who's somewhat considered. He's a tournament guy, right?
Yeah. What if we did this?
He's not lock, but he's the best value, I think, on the slate.
Wicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. Even better. Yeah, I would say better than Brooks is
absolutely.
Wicks.
Yeah.
So you play Wicks there, 8,150 remaining. I mean, you could just stud up all over the place here. Montgomery and Reed.
There you go. That's probably too many Packers with Watson as the wide receiver captain.
Yeah, that actually doesn't work. Do I have Amon-Ra already in here?
I probably go Amon-Ra. You got Amon-Ra there. I probably go Gibbs or Montgomery, and then Laporta. Oh, JMO.
Oh,
there you go.
Oh, okay. That's probably too much from this team, but what we're discovering is it's not really hard. If we pay down let me switch this up. If you pay down a captain, it's really not difficult to afford whatever the heck you want. Let's see what it feels like with Amon-Ra up top. Salary wise, we would get rid of him. Amon-Ra up there. Love Wicks. Probably get a second, like a Reed in a lineup like that. And then, Trim Patrick, I guess, fits for the last spot. We could go with Chris Brooks here. So even with Amon-Ra, it's very affordable.
Yeah.
I guess if you don't feel like you need to squish Jacobs and Gibbs and Montgomery, like too many of those studs together, you can get one pretty easy. I think it's also pretty easy I think one of the things we got to remember when we're building for this, Bobby, is, if we're overloaded with Lions pass catchers, make sure we get Goff in there, but also remembering that the Lions tend to score with their running backs.
Yeah, I was going to say the one thing I need to remember that we all need to remember is don't forget about David Montgomery. David Montgomery has been he's been getting more touches than Gibbs, and he's been getting more targets than Gibbs in the passing game too. Like Montgomery has been technically the feature back. I mean, the split isn't huge, but Monty's been doing it all for the Lions. So Gibbs has been very productive too, but Monty is right up there.
He has absolutely been a showdown winner as well.
I think most people see Gibbs as like the pass catcher in this backfield, but Montgomery's actually been more of the pass catching running back.
Gibbs has not, just weirdly as of late, Gibbs hasn't, let me pull it up, but Gibbs hasn't been seeing the number of that I would hope, really. Like when you're playing Gibbs, you're hoping for 5 to 7 targets. And I think he could elevate there, but this two receptions, 3 receptions stuff.
2, 3, 1, 2, 1. And look at Montgomery's. There we go. Earlier in the season, finally was at 7-4, but since then, where to go?
No, it hasn't.
Look at Montgomery now.
He's effectively just been a low volume.
Look at Monty though.
It's Achan all over. It's like a less good version of Achan. It's
Achan, but you chopped off one of his hands.
Yeah, well, less good. That's what I'm saying.
Look at Monty. I mean, he hasn't been skyrocketing, but he's like more 3, 4.
Yeah,
3, pretty steady.
Honestly, yeah, he's getting just as many targets, as many receptions. Seems to do more with them.
Yeah, so
that could flip at any time.
Food for thought. It could. Yeah.
But I guess what that means is Montgomery is more sexy than his name implies when you first think about it. Like he's like seems like an unsexy play, but actually
seems like a ground game guy on DraftKings, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to. He doesn't. No, it gives a pass catcher, but no, not that way at all.
He's catching a pass here and there.
And if you're Dan Campbell, let me tell you this: if the game is close, Dan Campbell is going to put the ball in Montgomery's hands more than he will Gibbs' hands, because Montgomery, he can trust Montgomery, and Montgomery runs as if it's his last carry of his life, as if he's going to die on the next snap. Like that dude runs as hard as anyone I've ever seen.
Plus, Montgomery doesn't give away the play calls on social media,
right?
So there's that. You need to be giving away the plays. What's the game we're looking at? Oh, here we go. Okay, Green Bay, Denver. Let's pull it up on FanDuel and see what the Golden Duel has to say about. Whoa!
Look at Monty's price. Lord have mercy.
Whoa! Hold on. This is crazy. Jahmyr Gibbs 15, Montgomery 12 on FanDuel. Dude, this is like not a difficult slate to figure out what you have to do to try to win it. Let's put Monty up there.
Let's be clear too. Like Gibbs, like you said, it could flip any time, and Gibbs has been really good for a couple of games this season. But
it's just weird that they did that.
That's too much of a differential there.
Yeah, you're just gonna play the. First of all, look what's happening on. It's so affordable. Salary means nothing. Salary means nothing here. Look at this. I can even play more studs like Jaden Reed in there.
Well, then don't forget, Wicks at 7,500 too. So
you don't need it. Unnecessary. Look at that. I got touchdown, quarterback, touchdown guy. Like this is
wow.
Both quarterbacks, and didn't even have to put the quarterback. I would easily flip Jordan Love into the captain spot on something like this. FanDuel did not make very difficult pricing for this. It's almost
so now
like
let's say you wanted to switch Goff for Gibbs. Let's say it's a Lions running back week. Monty's still MVP.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
Or Gibbs. Either way, doesn't matter.
Double running back.
Yeah. So let's say you want to get Gibbs in there. Who do you got to bring down here? Watson, maybe.
Yeah, you'd have to come off of Watson if you're doubling up here,
or Reed.
Yeah, either coming off of like a Jaden Reed, I could still get a kicker in there, or Sam Laporta, who's a touchdown, or Kraft. Oh my gosh, it's almost. You know what? In a set for a minute, I thought it was too easy, but now I think it's fine because
there's enough different. Yes.
Yeah, there's so many choices here, and they all fit within the salary. You could do a million different things. I'm not really sure what's the right thing to
do.
It's usually
like this week.
What's that?
I kind of like FanDuel for this.
Yeah. Who would be your favorite? I think, is it Jordan Love? Is Jordan Love the best captain or MVP?
My favorite would be one of the Detroit running backs.
Gibbs or Monty. Just let them have one of their smash games.
Love struggled. He's struggled against Detroit, and he hasn't looked great all in all the last couple weeks. But I think Love's ceiling is probably the highest.
Yeah, because Goff loses touchdowns to those running backs, where I don't think Love is going to lose touchdown. If we just went by the odds for the game, I think it's Love. I think Love is your guy because it's hard to run on Detroit, but it's easy to run on the Packers when you have Gibbs and Monty. So there's just so much more vulture risk for the running backs off of the Lions, where I do think that the Packers are going to need to throw for touchdowns. So you put Jolo up top, and just this is the proper way to build this. And then you could, all right, Gibbs. You don't want to do Gibbs and Reed. We can do Monty, Reed, Christian Watson. It doesn't have to be Laporta.
Kraft.
Yeah, Kraft is fine.
Look at that.
Many ways to build this. I am liking FanDuel. I think I'm going to be building on FanDuel for this one.
Very interesting.
Let's see what the ownerships look like. Let's just take a quick look and see here what we have for ownerships at MVP. What gets before I show?
Ownerships MVP. I don't know. I would assume that it's probably 25% for both Goff and Love, and then 15%, 20% for both running backs.
Let's see. Close. Oh, yeah, Jolo, the top guy, though. So we correctly identified it in the chat. Good job, everybody.
So low, my gosh.
Goff and Love, 18 and 17. Jacobs. And then, look, Gibbs and Monty are lower. Jacobs at least has the I'm the only guy bonus.
Yeah.
And I also think Amon-Ra belongs in the conversation. You know, FanDuel did add in the bonus for 100 yards, and I think that does make a difference for wide receivers. You need that 3 points, though. You ain't getting there without the 3.
If it was a lower scoring game, feels like he could get there, more likely that he could get there, but maybe not.
You know what? Let me just paint another scenario of what we've been seeing lately. These primetime games, the last few, have produced monster scores. Like, they've been everything we've hoped they would be.
Yeah.
So if this isn't everything I hoped it could be, there is a possibility of the 40-pointer from Amon-Ra.
Yeah.
As part of that. You know,
even then, though, I mean, I think Goff still scored like 38 points that week. It's just like the line is razor thin, the margin.
Yeah. Yeah.
But so it's possible.
So close. You're right. It's usually going to still end up going to Goff, even in that scenario. But at least it gives some interest to that.
Yeah. I know that I'm 12% interested. Like, I'm not going above that number.
No.
I'd much rather go above on Montgomery and Gibbs.
Or Love.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I have no interest in defenses and kickers in the MVP or captain spot for this game. I don't know if you're on the same bandwagon as I am. I mean, kickers are fine in the dome, but I just don't think that's how I would want to do it.
Sure, but not in the captain spot.
Yeah.
Look, I think to me, you get 25%, Love, Goff, Montgomery, and Gibbs. You get 25% all 4 of those guys. On FanDuel call today, I think you got your MVPs covered. Maybe bump up Love over Goff a little bit more. But
guys, if you're watching this from home, if you're watching this and you're like, I don't know if I want to play on FanDuel, right? Hold on. Let me see if I can sort this by contest size. How the hell do I sort this thing?
At FanDuel, you'd think they would make their interface super easy to navigate. But
do I not know how to sort on FanDuel?
And a single game featured. Go to the left.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Size. Yeah. There it is. So this is what I wanted to show. If you're somebody who's watching from home and you're like, I don't always play the showdowns. I don't know. Or I only like to make one lineup. Have some fun. And here's a nickel game or a quarter game, right?
Gosh, yes.
This costs nothing to enter. This is $7. One of Bobby's pumpkin spice lattes from Starbucks costs twice as much as this entire 150 lineups.
It's peppermint mocha season, but yes.
It's what is it season?
I said it's peppermint mocha season.
Oh my goodness. No mint flavor. It's even worse than the pumpkin flavor.
Point stands though. $7 for 150 lineups.
It's nothing. And you can have the fun of maxing out or go for the 25 cent. Nickel, I'm too fucking bad.
Yeah, but what is it's like $300, $400 the first though for 5 cents. That's crazy. What is that?
That's real money.
That's
and
legit.
You could watch the game with a rooting interest, and you get to practice with the benefit of hindsight, like real-time practice MMEing using the domination station optimizer. Don't just dive in and see. You know what a lot of people do, Bobbywow? Yeah. They come in here, they buy a subscription to DFS Army. We're here, we got a big community, we've got a million things going on, but they want, there's no tutorial watching, none of that. I'm diving in. I'm like, I don't want to. And they just like max out the 3 or the 5 one time, like, I lost money using that optimizer, and then they're gone. I'm like, wait, hold up. First of all, give it a second. Take a breath. In and out. Play a few slates. Play a nickel game. Don't throw your money away on a $5 if you're new. Or if you're somebody who's like, I don't normally play on FanDuel. I get it. A lot of people who watch this, they're like, oh, I'm DraftKings only. I don't even stick around for the FanDuel. FanDuel's awesome. FanDuel has some really positive features, especially the contests that they offer. I'm not going to say they're, I don't love the format as much maybe as DraftKings in some ways.
Yeah, agreed.
But in other ways, I do like it more. I just wish it wasn't so tie-y for these showdowns. But who cares when you play?
It's a little more simple, FanDuel.
Yeah. It's designed to be easier, an easier platform. It's actually designed to benefit less pro level players. As a matter of fact, I was a big fan of when FanDuel got rid of late swaps for NBA. The field was not a fan of it, but I was a fan because it's just easier for me not to have to sit here and be late swapping all the time. Like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather just suck it up. And when my guy isn't in the game, all right. But the field didn't like that. So
the other thing I'll just say is, and it sounds really weird, but different people, different brains are better at different contest types. Like if you don't try a mass multi-entry, if you don't try a nickel, throwing 150 lineups in, you'll never even know. Like the way my brain works, I stink at single bullets. I'm bad at single entry. I'm bad at 3 max. But like I love kind of running the dom station, doing the math for 150 and pumping lineups out that way.
By the way, you might not be bad at that at all. It's just a variance thing too. Like making a one-off. You're very contrarian. You have a contrarian approach to DFS, and
which the 150 lineups helps. It supports that kind of
that kicks you in the balls. That's what I'm saying. That kicks you in the nuts when you're trying to play one lineup that's very contrarian. Like,
I'm just trying to say, I guess, you never even know until you try. So
yeah,
give it a chance. You never tried the nickel or the 150. Give it a shot this week. Tomorrow's a perfect opportunity.
I don't ever ask. I don't think people should spend a lot of money. I don't want to spend anybody else's money or any of that stuff. And so I don't want to talk casually about, hey, max out the 3 and it's 450. What's the big deal? For some people, that might be a month's worth of your DFS budget. It might be your whole year. I don't know.
That's a lot of money. But the nickel is a little different.
It's not a lot.
It is Whopper money though.
It's not a lot for rich guys.
That's true. It's tough.
But if you're rich, it's not a lot of money.
I mean, it's a lot of money.
But not for rich guys.
Okay. Maybe not for people in where's that place in Florida? Dang it.
The Villages.
The Villages. No, the Villages.
That's a full Social Security check for people in the Villages. If you're in the Villages right now, play the nickel game. My father-in-law, who's of the Villages age, but not there, he plays poker with a bunch of, I don't want to say old farts because that's not, nice thing to say, but a bunch of dudes about the same age, a bunch of 80-year-olds, and they play poker, and they play for pennies. And it's literally just like they're throwing pennies on the table. And I'm like, you guys are playing for pennies? And that's what they play for. And they love it.
Amazing.
Yeah. They're like, that's what we play for. And it's cutthroat. They're killing each other over those pennies.
Can I tell you a secret? That's how I got into gambling. I was like 7, 8 years old. My cousin and I were playing Mario Golf. Bet a penny a skin.
Oh, I love that.
Those holes.
Love to hear it.
That's all downhill from there.
Bobbywow, when I was 10, I had me and my brother, and we had my dad had for his best friend, and they had two kids our age. So there were 4 of us that would hang out, and we would play roulette. We would just always be gambling, and we bought a roulette wheel at Toys R Us, and we had a dealer, and we would just be playing fucking roulette, whatever gambling, and with real money. We'd be taking each other's money back and forth. This was like what I did when I was 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. It was awesome.
That's hilarious, man.
Yeah,
I love that.
Literally bought the roulette, and then you wanted to be the dealer, but the dealer could lose their ass. Like you always kind of wanted to be the dealer because that was the money making spot. But sometimes the dealer would just get killed, you know, because you're dealing for 3 others. And so you were the bank when you were the dealer. It was good times, man. Yeah, same thing. So good stuff. If you're like me and Bobbywow, clearly you were just gambling against your friends for many, many years. You know, Statsational John, he'd be walking around his high school with those betting sheets. Like, hey, who wants to fill out? You remember the betting sheets for football? The football sheets?
Oh yeah.
That was a John Statsational thing in high school.
Oh man,
you walking around.
I don't care what it is. It doesn't even matter the amount. Like you put pennies on something, no matter the competition, it's automatically like 100 times more meaningful, right? Like you're just more interested. I don't know what it is.
We forgot to jump into like the turns. I'll just real quick kind of go through
Wicks.
Yeah, Wicks down here, crazy good.
I think Brooks might be close to min price.
Yeah, that one might not be that good though.
He's 6K. Like if you need a punt, he scores a touchdown. That might be it.
And then who else? I don't know. Wicks. No one else stands out. Brock Wright, maybe.
Brock Wright. Yeah.
I think for the most part, you're hanging out between 8,500. Like you don't even need to go there. I think you're 9,500 and up, and you could just
Wicks is probably the lowest you want to go unless you're playing MME.
Yeah, with Wicks, and that's it. So I'm gonna tack it. I think I like the look of FanDuel this week. All right. Yeah, let's wrap it up there, Bobbywow. Good stuff. So another big showdown. We will be back on Friday. Tournament Tactics. It's Friday at 5:00. Same time, same station.
15?
What's that?
Is this week 15?
It is week 14.
Okay. Wait.
We are 14 weeks into the season.
Week 14. Jeez.
This is the last week of redraft play. Everybody's got hurt QBs. This is the last week of redraft before the playoffs begin. Good luck to whoever got congratulations to the Garendo sweepstakes winners, whoever you are. You worked your fob beautifully this week. You played your league like a fiddle. And because you did that and your patient waiting did pay off, I'm so proud. That's usually me, Bobbywow. I like to hold my fob, but this year it was not my year. I did not get Garendo. I did not get the cheat code in any of my leagues, not one.
I forgot to even submit a claim. That stinks. And I have McCaffrey. Jeez Louise.
What are you doing? I didn't miss him in any. I certainly max fobbed it in every league, and I didn't get it. So I just want to say congrats to everybody who got him, because that guy will lead your team to fantasy glory over the next 4 weeks. And it was like you were in 6th place, you weren't looking that good, and now you're the best fucking team in the league. So well done for whoever did that. And hell yeah, Amanda, it does go fast. The year is flying by. I can't even believe it. We're a couple of weeks away from the playoffs. It's just December now.
Turns a little slower if you're a fan of certain teams.
In December, it turns dark in Chicago at like 2:30 in the afternoon.
It's snowing right now.
It's black. It's snowing.
It's snowy right now.
Yeah, I was driving home before this show, and they had that stuff down on the ground that snow is coming, like the stuff they spray on the ground to melt it. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you going to do that around me? They put sand down.
They don't put the sand down, no. But before snow happens, somebody comes and sprays some chemicals out there.
Oh no.
It's chemicals all over the place. What's that?
It's salt or bust.
No, the salt comes after the snow. Before they spray some chemical down on the floor.
And here we just salt. We just pre-salt. Even we salt our food. We salt all our food, but we pre-salt the roads, and then we salt during the snow and after. That's
got to salt the food though.
Salt. It's all about the salt.
Love the salt. I'm with you. All right, that's gonna do it, guys. Good luck. Like, subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Do it now. I'll wait. All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on Friday for Tournament Tactics. Good luck, everybody.